The government has proposed significant amendments to the employment ordinance to enhance the regulation of trade unions, citing national security concerns. These amendments empower the Registrar of Trade Unions at the Labor and Welfare Bureau to reject new registrations or mergers based on national security needs, with judicial review as the sole recourse. Individuals convicted of national security offenses will be permanently barred from holding union positions. These measures aim to prevent foreign interference, requiring unions to obtain approval from the registrar before accepting funds from foreign sources. To enhance the government's ability to prevent, deter, and investigate illegal activities and potential national security threats by trade unions. The proposed amendments expand the Registrar of Trade Unions' investigative and regulatory powers. This includes authorizing the registrar, or individuals with their written consent, to enter union premises, inspect and copy specified records and data such as account books and membership registers, conduct necessary inspections and inquiries, and seize evidence related to violations of the trade unions ordinance and union constitutions. Union naming conventions will also be subject to greater regulation. The Labor and Welfare Bureau's proposed amendment to the Trade Unions Ordinance aims to ensure that union operations align with national security principles. Legislator and Hong Kong and Kowloon Labor Organizations Federation Chairman Lam Chun Sing expressed concern that some international organizations affiliated with local unions might issue radical statements. He hopes the Labor Bureau will investigate thoroughly before imposing penalties, and that unions will be exonerated if there's no evidence of their involvement in such statements, or if they have publicly opposed them. The enactment of the National Security Law for Hong Kong and the Maintenance of National Security Ordinance has significantly altered the operating environment for local unions, prompting concerns among them about inadvertently breaking the law and thus reducing international engagement. As noted by the General Secretary of the Cleaning Services Industry Employees General Union, Tu Chun Hao. The Housing Authority and Housing Society acted swiftly to address isolated incidents of subcontractor payment delays by main contractors on public housing projects. To ensure timely completion of projects, some main contractors were replaced with reputable firms like China State Construction Engineering Corporation stepping in to complete several projects. The Secretary for Housing, Winnie Ho, confirmed that these isolated cases will not affect the government's 10-year housing target. After over 30 years, the Democratic Party, facing pressure and considering political and legal factors, is poised to disband. A meeting of the Central Committee is scheduled to discuss the party's future, including the potential dissolution, while the chairman has stated that all options are on the table and ultimate decisions rest with the membership. Indications suggest a move towards disbandment is likely. Despite facing potential dissolution, the Democratic Party held a press conference yesterday to propose solutions for the fiscal deficit. Before the government unveils its budget next week, the party chairman criticized the government for canceling a scheduled meeting on the budget, citing a sudden meeting as the reason, after previously agreeing to meet. The Department of Health received 4 reports of serious medication errors in the final quarter of last year. resulting in stable patient conditions. These incidents, involving both private hospitals and a daycare center, underscore the importance of ongoing vigilance in maintaining the highest standards of patient care. In 2018, a school bus accident in North Point resulted in fatalities. The driver received a minor fine for failing to engage the parking brake. Subsequent legal proceedings, including a coroner's inquest and attempts to pursue more serious charges, were ultimately dismissed by the court due to procedural irregularities and the principle of avoiding double jeopardy. In his judgment, Judge Xie Shenji explained the principle and test of the rule against double jeopardy, noting the prosecution's confusion of this principle with the principle of autrefois convict, acquit. During the hearing, while the defense argued the case violated autrefois convict, acquit, their arguments and cited cases actually supported the rule against double jeopardy. The judge clarified that while the two principles are similar, their tests and implications for court power differ significantly. A teacher, Wang Kai-kong, allegedly the chairman of the Hong Kong Independence Party, was sentenced to 5 years in prison for conspiracy to incite secession under the national security law after posting online advocating for foreign military intervention in Hong Kong. His subsequent High Court judicial review application, claiming he had acquired foreign citizenship and therefore was not a Chinese citizen, was rejected. The court stated the question of his Chinese citizenship remained contested and that his application was premature. A transportation worker is on trial for murder after his 3-year-old daughter died from a brain hemorrhage following an incident of violent shaking in 2020. The court heard testimony from the defendant's girlfriend, who described him violently shaking the child 8 to 10 times after she cried. She claimed he had threatened her father, leaving her and her daughter feeling trapped and unable to leave him. A recording of a hospital conversation with the injured child was played, prompting an early adjournment due to the emotional distress it caused. Hong Kong police scored a major victory in the fight against narcotics, seizing approximately 76 million Hong Kong dollars worth of drugs, 137.2 kilograms of ketamine and 15.1 kilograms of cocaine. In 2 separate operations, 3 men and 1 woman were arrested. Hong Kong's Communications Office launched a short message sender registration system, #prefix, to help citizens identify genuine messages. However, a recent newspaper report highlighted a scam using fake #prefixed messages impersonating SF Express, resulting in at least 1 victim losing 22,000 Hong Kong dollars and 28 police reports filed. Police believe the scammers used a mobile phone jamming device to send phishing messages, targeting credit card information. A 23-year-old man was arrested. Authorities advise heightened vigilance against messages received during periods of network instability, e.g., a sudden drop to 2G, and warn against clicking unknown or suspicious links. A 23-year-old man was arrested for using a fake base station, transported via a hired van, to commit crimes in various districts. A second individual fled before police arrived. The van driver, alerted to suspicious activity, sought help from colleagues and avoided involvement. A 70-year-old woman's case involving over 60 million Hong Kong dollars in investment losses allegedly caused by her goddaughter continued at the High Court yesterday. The victim testified further, detailing how she was persuaded by a woman claiming to work for a bank to invest in various projects. The woman provided documents and checks each time, including one instance where the victim invested 12 million Hong Kong dollars and received a 14 million Hong Kong dollars promissory note, expecting over 2 million Hong Kong dollars in short-term returns. However, the note's due date was repeatedly postponed, remaining unpaid even when the victim reported the crime 2 years later. The Secretary for Labor and Welfare, Dr. Chris Sun, affirmed in a written reply to the Legislative Council that Comprehensive Social Security Assistance (CSSA) fraud is not widespread. Confirmed fraudulent cases represent only 0.1% to 0.3% of total CSSA cases in recent years. While the number of confirmed fraudulent cases rose to 589 in 2023-24, a 59.2% increase from 370 in 2020-21, this remains a small percentage of overall CSSA recipients, demonstrating the system's effectiveness in detecting and deterring fraud. The government's repossession of the Tuen Mun Road Tunnels franchise in May and subsequent legislative review of new toll regulations faced a proposed amendment from lawmaker Stephen Ho Chun Yin of the Roundtable. This amendment, advocating for free passage outside of peak hours for private cars, motorcycles, and commercial vehicles, was soundly rejected by the legislature due to projected substantial revenue losses and potential traffic congestion, as confirmed by the Secretary for Transport and Logistics, Lam Sai Hung. The government's opposition to the amendment was based on its anticipated negative impacts on both the tunnel's finances and traffic flow. Following a meeting with the government's Transport Advisory Committee, Hong Kong Taxi Radio Association Chairman Wong Yu-ting, who had threatened a taxi strike if authorities failed to adequately address illegal ride-hailing services, announced the strike's cancellation. He cited Chief Executive John Lee's personal order to crack down on unlicensed vehicles and expressed confidence in the chief executive's ability to oversee law enforcement. Wong also apologized for public anxieties caused by leaked meeting minutes regarding the strike. Police subsequently announced the seizure of 8 vehicles in a citywide crackdown on illegal ride-hailing services. Wong expressed his satisfaction with the government's actions. The government held its first-ever public meeting yesterday afternoon with 5 ride-hailing platforms: Uber, Tata, AutoNavi, Didi Chuxing, and the local Fly Taxi. While several platforms sent high-level representatives, the meeting lasted only 40 minutes, significantly shorter than the 2-hour meeting held with the taxi industry. Attendees reported that the platforms primarily presented their views, with limited government input or proposed solutions, resulting in a less than ideal exchange of ideas. The Hong Kong International Arbitration Centre, HKIAC, reported a record high $13.6 billion United States dollars, 106 billion Hong Kong dollars, in dispute amounts for 2024, with 352 new arbitration cases, a post-2009 high, exceeding 2023 and 2022 figures by 25% and 2% respectively. Hong Kong director Junyi Leung, whose film Where the Wind Blows was selected for this year's Berlin Film Festival, sparked controversy and a security investigation after a speech he gave on Saturday, February 15. Leung claims his remarks, which mentioned German support for actions against Palestinians that he described as genocide, were actually a statement from an Iranian actor in the film. He says he delivered the statement only after organizers refused to play a pre-recorded version, citing concerns about its content under German law and culture. In the 135th day of the trial against Jimmy Lai, founder of Next Media and Apple Daily Limited, for conspiracy to collude with foreign forces, the prosecution focused on Apple Daily's publications, including Lai's columns. Lai maintained his advocacy for non-violence. Justice Li Wan-tang questioned Lai's lack of condemnation for protesters' destruction of property, contrasting it with Lai's stronger criticism of alleged police infiltration of protests. Lai explained he was merely reporting suspicions of police involvement. The prosecution pressed him on whether he was baselessly accusing the police to incite anti-police sentiment, a charge Lai denied. Police are investigating allegations of fraud and wage theft related to a Hong Kong market event organized by Tri-Mart last year. A mainland Chinese man reported losing $53,000, and the Labor Department is investigating potential violations of employment laws. A joint operation by Hong Kong Customs, the Marine Police, and mainland Chinese anti-smuggling authorities from the 12th to the 19th of this month successfully disrupted 5 cigarette smuggling cases, seizing 16.95 million cigarettes, worth approximately 77 million Hong Kong dollars, and a record-breaking drug smuggling case involving 459 kilograms of cannabis, worth 118 million Hong Kong dollars, arresting 3 local men.